Hey, how you doing? I hear discussion of, especially Sascha, saying $7 billion was a joke and we need a lot more. But the $7 billion we spent has been woefully misspent. Time and again we see dramatically bad plans being granted money. We see them overbuilding over existing private companies. The government has been notoriously terrible at building broadband, and I hear virtually no discussion of the tens and hundreds of billions of dollars of private investment that have gotten us to 92% availability and 82% to 2 or more providers of broadband in just 12 years, 15 years, depends on when you want to start the calendar. The government is pretty terrible at doing just about everything, and they've been really terrible at broadband deployment and the broadband stimulus within the national broadband, I mean the stimulus bill at large, has just been atrocious. I'm wondering what, if any, evidence you have that they're going to get dramatically better in round 2 with more money.
So yeah, I mean, I don't want to get devolved into sort of a pro-government versus anti-government. I will say, you know, it is established fact the government was the folks that built the internet in the first place.
That's ancient history. That's no longer even remotely relevant to today's internet.
Fair enough. So if that's irrelevant to today's internet, I think we have to address realities on the ground. We have a policy based on, and I actually am very much a believer that a competitive marketplace is going to lead to better solutions. But it assumes a competitive marketplace. So you look at the National Broadband Plan, and again, they've collected a whole bunch of data, one gem of which says, you got a little pie chart, and it shows 96% of Americans have 2 or fewer wireline broadband providers. Now, if you don't have a competitive marketplace, we know where that leads, like over history, especially in telecommunications. This has been a very bad thing for consumers. And so there's this yin-yang relationship between, like, if you have competition, you need less government. And if you have lesser competition, you need a lot more. And right now, we do not have a competitive market space.
It's only been 10 years. Give it time.
Give what time?
Give the development of the private sector time. I mean,
right.
And inserting government, taking money from the private sector and giving it to the government detracts from private investment. And again, you're not addressing the fact that government stinks at broadband deployment.
Well, then why is it in other countries, right? And this is Yochai Benkler's work, where he looked and he said, okay, what works internationally? Because in that decade that you're pointing to, we've gone from #1 in the late 1990s to 4 to 8 to 10 to 12. Now we're somewhere between 15th and 25th. I mean, we're talking about a massive failure to keep up with other countries. And what Yochai Benkler's research did is he looked at...
They are. It's tough to...
We're bigger than Canada? No.
Yeah. We got a lot more land space to connect to.
We have so again, look at OECD statistics, you'll see that population density and throughput and capacity and pricing, they don't have a very strong correlation. You can look at the broadband portal there and see that. But what I want to point out is what Benkler's work did, he looked at like dozens of countries and he said, okay, what happens in these countries? What are the differentiators that make them do better in terms of lower speeds, higher prices, more build out? And that government intervention in spaces where you don't have competitive marketplace has been the differentiator. And I think it's really important. Like we just have to address the fact that other countries are doing this better than we are doing. And that interplay has been a part of that success.
Then how do you explain Lake County?
I'd like to actually get one more question.